We live, baby. We live.
Okay, this is be great over here as well. Perfect. You know, check it periodically because you know it's going to clear every about 15 minutes. You know how that goes. Yes, peace to the family. Love and appreciate you. We're here. And I don't know if you want to flip it out where I can probably see it. Because then maybe I could tell you, you know? Yes. So, glad that the family's here. Today, we're having a discussion on, and you'll be able to see yourself in the camera right there. Today, we're having a discussion on the metaphysics of the heart. Not just any metaphysics, the secret and the sacred metaphysics of the heart. And the reason why this is so imperative is because there's a lot of folklore about consciousness, and you know, a key part of doing any type of homeschool studies should be engendered around the principle of metaphysics. It's avoided in the classrooms and most necessary to really see to it that we could push the future generations forward. So of all the negative music and the horrible foods that most people practice indulging in, we got to come with that breath of fresh air. And fresh air is going to be very important. Hopefully we could do some coherent heart breathing exercises at the end of today's session. So what I want to do is get you to open up, get some words from the wise, and then we'll open up with a nice excerpt from the book Conscious Language. It's a very good book. Y'all should go out and purchase it. In addition to the 90+ books that I've written, IamBrotherPolight.com. If you have an issue doing any purchasing, you can go to brotherpolight45@gmail.com while we're undergoing another set of upgrades because we get a lot of traffic, so we're always taking security measures for the site. So brotherpolight45@gmail.com if you're interested in any of my 90+ publications that I put forth and their corresponding DVDs. Aside from that, you can go to IamBrotherPolight.com and peruse through, see what we got. Now, let's get you over here. Let's make sure they can hear you. And I want you to read loud some words to the wise. And we'll open up with this in mind. And then we're going to go into the metaphysics of the heart. We're not going to do no type of hesitation. Go ahead, baby girl. I don't know what that is, but that is no part of the lesson. Just bypass that. Go ahead.
Okay. Every individual is at once the beneficiary and the victim of linguistic tradition into which he has been born. The beneficiary, inasmuch as language gives access to the accumulated records of other people's experience. The victim, insofar as it confirms him in the belief that reduced awareness is the only awareness, and as it bedevils his sense of reality, so that he is all to take his concept for data, his words for actual things.
Okay, now I want you to do it again. Read it loud. Read it a whole lot louder so everybody can hear you. Okay?
Alright. Every individual is at once the beneficiary and the victim. Sound good?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. And the victim of linguistic
Start it over.
tradition. Every individual is at once the beneficiary and the victim of linguistic tradition into which he has been born. The beneficiary, inasmuch as language gives access to the accumulated records of other people's experience. The victim, insofar as it confirms him in the belief that reduced awareness is the only awareness, and as it bedevils his sense of reality, so that he is all to take his concept for data, his words for actual things.
Great. Appreciate that.
Did you hear?
I believe they heard you.
Okay.
I'll do it again, but that was some excellent reading. I want you to add a little more fish to beneficiary, and
I did?
you did good. You did great.
Oh.
I love it. You know, we're looking for perfection, right? That's what we're looking for. We're just looking for perfection. Okay, so it says here, every individual is at once the beneficiary and the victim of linguistic tradition into which he has been born. The beneficiary, inasmuch as language gives access to the accumulated records of other people's experience. The victim, insofar as it confirms him in the belief that reduced awareness is the only awareness, and as it bedevils his sense of reality, so that he is all too apt to take his concepts for data, his words for actual things. We have a reading contest, because I think she almost beat me, but she lacked the fish and beneficiary to take over the top. Otherwise, it might have been a draw, or you would just have to pick, and you still might pick over me. Because
if it wasn't the beneficiary, then I would have got it.
Give me a fish in there, beneficiary.
Beneficiary.
There you go. We're working. I mean, she's awesome. She's amazing. She's 11 years old, dropping it, reading it, flipping it, kicking it. And I'm freestyling. Yeah, so I just wanted to start off with this because the way in which we communicate empowers us with the ability to be masters of our own destiny. Therefore, we have to be careful what kind of words we use when we deliver them to other people and when we consume them ourselves. For example, if I tell you what you can't do, I've also confirmed that that impossibility exists in my world as well. Because there's no reason you shouldn't have idealistically the same type or same manner of potential that I have. So if I am super cynical about what other people can do, I don't realize the impact that it's also having on me. Telling you what you cannot do is also making it clear that that same impossibility is within my range. Therefore, if I empower you and tell you how you could accomplish it, because the potential already exists in you, I'm empowering myself by delivering that kind of message to you. And then we look at words, like curse words, right? And we know what a curse is. And you know you have to spell words. And when you look at words, and some of you may say it's semantics, and I get it, but the mind is so interesting that it tells you the truth even when you're looking to deceive people. There's always some truth in there. So we'll look at the word, or the drugstore, writing. It's spelled R-I-T-E, right? And R-I-T-E means ritual. It could have been the correct A, as in R-I-G-H-T, but it says R-I-T. So that's a drugstore called Rite Aid. That means ritual. And pharmacy comes from the Greek word based on etymology, right? Mm-hmm. Etymologically speaking, pharmacy is pharmakeia. It's in the Bible, and when you look up the word for sorcery or witchcraft, it's always pharmakeia, from where we get the word pharmacy. So a lot of times, our children get misdiagnosed with ADHD, and unbeknown to us, there's no actual way to diagnose somebody with ADHD 100% of the time. It's subjective, it's opinionated. It's at the discretion of the person who your child's life in many cases is in their hands based on their diagnosis, and it's not a legitimized diagnosis. So they'll get these drugs and they wind up under this spell, and who knows, they may never be who they are in the future or who they can become in the future. They may only be a shadow of themselves intellectually later on. So that hints at the word pharmacy and its connection to pharmakeia as it relates to witchcraft and sorcery. And in order to employ sorcery, you have to conduct a ritual, which brings us back to rite, R-I-T-E. So we look at Rite Aid, which is a pharmacy, and we can see connections in the words based on its etymology and its colloquial meanings when we combine these different words together. And you may say that, man, that's semantics, but there's different types of semantics. There's lexical semantics, there's conceptual semantics, there's different types of semantics. And whether you realize it or not, the subconscious mind is always speaking to us. So we want to be very careful about the words that we use, because it talks about the tradition of language and us being victims of linguistic tradition. Victims of linguistic tradition. We'll say things like, I need and I want, but in honesty, you wasn't born with a need or a want. You actually have everything you need in the form of potential. So long as you're alive and you're breathing, you could accomplish the goal. And in fact, the goal's already accomplished, because there's really no separation in the days. We may say yesterday, we may say today, we may say tomorrow, but in reality, there's no separation amongst the days. So what you conceive to want now, it will manifest later, and therefore you already have it. So you're never really in need. It's just patience that's required of you, right? So this is why our affirmation is, you got the affirmation?
Yes.
Always got to give them the affirmation. What's the affirmation?
I'm using my consciousness to manifest my goals.
That's right. We're using our consciousness to manifest our goals. The number one thing we have to do whenever teaching, particularly our children, is to have them void of the limitations that we have as adults. Okay? We need not have the limitations that many of us adults have.
My phone.
Okay?
Cool.
Yeah. You should have been charging that the whole time.
Oh yeah, we were. It's just it don't last too long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pumping it.
Mine's lasted for a long time. Are we good?
Um,
Man, that light was everything.
that light it really was.
Hold
we
on
can
now.
always go underneath the bar.
We can't go to the bar. We might have to really. It's not a mic. We're going to that bar because we don't want to mess up this information. Give us a little bit of time. We're gonna take one, and then we're gonna take two. We're gonna do it so fast. You're gonna be like, how we move the set that quick? Because we're not too far from Hollywood. Hold on.
Here we go. Move. Moving the set. 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 Everyone, please give us some time. We're moving the set. And the set is officially moved
Still alive?
Be ready.
We did it.
to the new location.
Made it to the new location.
All right, guys, here we go.
Look at that.
The set. Yeah.
Because, we doing nighttime class. I know she was enjoying it. We doing nighttime class. This ain't that bad. I'm actually going to get a chair. My baby girl can stand periodically. Not now, though. I'll just leave it there. Right? And maybe I'll get one. Look at this. We did all this live. Are we recording again?
Yeah, we still recording.
Okay, I look a little dark on that one.
Let me see. Some contrast.
See what we gotta do.
We good. I mean, you're a little dark, but it's because you got to take a step back
Okay.
and stay more back. Perfect. Perfect.
Or maybe pull that back, or does that matter? I gotta stay back no matter what.
You got to stay back.
Okay, let me move this back.
Awesome. All right, so
We good.
now that was intense. That was definitely intense.
Definitely was intense. Hold on. Maybe help me out. Just hold that leg. Okay.
The teamwork is in the building. The teamwork make the dream work. Ebar Hotep said, Hotep King.
Hotep.
Polight, your daughter, my aunt, laughs just like you. Brother Polight, I appreciate everything you do and all the lessons you have taught me.
Man.
I think you are too powerful to do. I don't get that. All right, here we go. Continue. I love you, Brother Polight. Powerful.
Powerful. So do me a favor, read this one more time, and we're back. Let me see how we looking over here.
Okay.
It's not on.
What? It's not on.
That would really hurt. Did the battery die?
Nah, I don't think it did. It was totally recorded. Maybe. Here we go. Did it again.
Alright, just show me so I can also see.
Okay.
Since you're handling it down. Alright. We're officially back. You'll probably have to zoom it. You don't got a tripod for the phone?
No I only brought one tripod.
Gotcha. So
You can
let me talk to them right here. I need y'all to hold tight. I'm really sorry for this disturbance. Go ahead and read what we on, and we're gonna get straight to the metaphysics of the heart. Let's do this.
Every individual is at once the beneficiary and the victim of linguistic tradition into which he has been born. The beneficiary inasmuch as language gives access to the accumulated records of other people's experience. The victim, insofar as it confirms him in the belief that reduced awareness is the only awareness, and as it bedevils his sense of reality, so that he is all too apt to take his concept for data, his words for actual things.
Thank you so much. So while we're fixing everything up, why is it you like homeschooling, baby? Do you like homeschooling, and why do you like homeschooling?
It's fun.
Why is it fun? You know, you got to elaborate. You know how we do. We don't do those one-word answers. We give you the exact one word you need, or two, and then we expound. So go ahead, baby girl. Why you like homeschool?
It's fun. It's great. I'm glad to have my dad as a teacher.
Why is that?
Because he's a great teacher. He teaches.
I'm right here, but you know, I'm second person, third person, fifth person. How do you want to do it?
Person.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
He teaches a lot to other people, so it's good to have a dad that teaches me too.
No doubt. No doubt. Tell me some of the highlights of homeschooling. If a child was thinking about it, what would you tell other children? Because you're 11 years old, what would you tell them about homeschooling to encourage them to want to do it? Because people always say, well, if you're not at school, then you don't have friends. And you have friends, right?
Yes.
Okay. More than the people that live in your house, obviously, correct? All right. So what do you say? What are some of the cool things that takes place with homeschooling? Some of the places you go, what are some of the things we do?
Well, I like going to the laundry, and so sometimes we'll do the homework over there.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Laundry in a hotel.
Because we will do it in the morning and get some breakfast while we're doing the homework.
I take her to her favorite restaurant. She's very high end. Very high end. She's a private school by herself. So I would take her to her favorite restaurant, which is part of a hotel called the Montreal. And I do this because the learning experience has to be fun, and I like to change the background. Like I told you before, ambiance is everything. More especially in the case, keyword being aesthetics, which is beauty, right?
Yes.
A special liking or interest in beauty. So aesthetically, we have to change the background because we don't want redundancy, because redundancy voids the brain. And once redundancy sets in, then it's harder to learn because you almost have an anticipation of what environment you're going to be in. So therefore, it takes away some of the excitement of the education. So you got to move around when you educate. Another thing that we have to do is stand up when we learn, and practice standing up when you eat, and practice standing up when you teach, talk, experience. In this culture, we sit down to read, we sit down to work on the computer. They got standing desks. We sit down to work on the computer, we sit down to read, we sit down to have conversation, we sit down to learn. We're synergetically dominant, which means most of the momentum of our body is shifted to the front. Because when we sit down, we're like this, constantly. So much so that it's like, man, if you realize certain Asian restaurants, they have a tall column for you to stand and eat your food, and you wonder, what's that about? Well, bad posture is linked to insanity. Normally when criminals are about, they have bad posture. It's linked to their insanity. People shooting and having shootouts and killing each other don't normally have shootouts with bad posture, or with good posture. They normally have shootouts with bad posture. So, I mean, people that go around shooting each other senselessly can't exactly have a book on their head and balance it while they're going around shooting each other. They tend to have bad posture and tell people, get off their block. They tap more into their mammal self to be nice. So we know that bad posture is linked to insanity because it compromises the integrity of the flow of electricity to the brain. Okay? That's why that's very important. The posterior up here and the glutes, there's muscles back here. That's very important. And they get shut down because the brain says there's no need for them. Because everything is going forward. Nothing's going back. But you need those back muscles to enhance your ability to stand. You need those back muscles to enhance your ability to actually think. This is absolutely true. You need the muscles in your back to be able to think. How about that? Even down to the glutes, because you have some brain matter in the glutes too. So your glute muscles is turned off. Your back muscles is turned off. Your spine is not even turned on completely. This is like having an outlet where all the plugs don't work. Your spine is not even on completely because your body is saying, oh, we only need the front half of their body. They're only interested in how they look in the front. If you're a woman, maybe you're doing squats for your butt. But it really doesn't have nothing to do with the intellect aspect of life. So that's why you should practice eating standing, practice learning standing, practice teaching standing. Okay? And when conversating, don't always run to the chair because we need to get this part of the body going. And that's why yoga is pretty good. I hate using more contemporary terminologies that take us away from our ancestors, but y'all get the vibe. I'm not even going to that because you know once I start deviating, it's fun, it's a lot of knowledge, but I want to make sure I can get to this point because we already had technical difficulties. I had no idea that light was going to, it said 27%, my light lasted a little longer. I had no idea that was going to happen, so I apologize for that. Nonetheless, everything happens for a reason. We're dealing with causation, causal determinism. It is what it is. There's no randomism in the universe. We know that, right? Okay. Now, today we're going to talk about the metaphysics of the heart. The metaphysics of the heart. Because we're going to deal with biology today. This was actually, we can actually intertwine some of this information too. Well, let's do it like this. So we're going to talk about biology today, right? Now, touch bio, baby, and tell me what bio means if you remember.
Life.
Bio means?
Life.
There we go. And what does ology mean?
Study.
Okay, so the suffix bio means what?
Huh?
The prefix bio. The prefix bio.
The.
You can touch bio.
Okay.
Okay. Always follow instructions. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
The prefix bio means what?
Life.
And the suffix ology means what?
Study.
So what does biology mean?
The life of biology.
Knock that off. What does bio mean?
Bio.
What does bio mean?
Life.
What does ology mean?
Study.
So what does biology mean? There's only two words there.
Life. Study.
Or flip it.
Study. Life.
Study life. Maybe we want to use another word. Studying life is good. Biology means what? Don't lose your mind.
Okay.
Don't get scared. It's okay. What does bio mean?
Life.
What does ology mean?
Study.
So what does biology mean?
The life of study.
No. Now you wilding. Which order are you going to read the words after you find out what the words mean? Are you reading frontwards or you read backwards?
Frontwards.
You going to read frontwards? Life study?
Probably should read backwards.
So what is it? What are we studying? If we're studying, what we're studying? Ology means what? Follow instructions.
Study.
Listen to me. Follow instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get scared.
Okay.
Follow instructions. You're never being tricked. Not by daddy.
Mm-hmm.
What does ology mean?
Study.
What does bio mean?
Life.
So what are we studying?
Biology.
Okay.
Wait.
Follow instructions. The word is biology. We are studying biology. What does ology mean? Follow instructions. What does ology mean?
Study.
What does ology mean? Stop getting so scared.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in trouble. Don't deviate from what you know. Ology means what? You said it a million times, so there's no reason you don't know it now. You're freaking out and you're going crazy. You're losing your mind. You're acting like things are exploding and the building's on fire. Calm down. Take your breath. You just told us what the word means. I don't want to read it forward. And you shouldn't have to read it forward for you to be able to remember what you said. What does ology mean? Did you completely forget everything you just been saying this whole time? What does ology mean?
Study.
Thank you. Don't lose your mind. There's not a trick here. Calm down.
Okay.
Are you calm?
Yes.
Do you need to take a breath?
No.
You sure you don't need to take a breath?
No.
If you're nervous, you can take your time. I don't have a problem. We can take a short intermission, and you can collect your thoughts. But we will not have a breakdown because of biology. We're not going to do that. Okay? Because now we're going to have to biologically get you checked. You're going to be in the hospital passing out, and they're going to say, what happened? I tried to teach him. I attempted to show her biology, and she passed out on the suffix. I don't want to have that happen. What does ology mean?
Study.
So what are we studying? We're studying the other part of that word. What are we studying?
Life.
There you go. So what does biology mean? You just said it. Now don't play games.
Life.
What are we studying?
Life.
So what does biology mean?
Life.
It only means life. What are we studying? What are we studying? What are we studying?
Life.
Thank you. So what does biology mean? What does biology say we're doing?
Life. Study.
No. Say it better. What are we studying?
Okay.
What are we studying?
Life.
Huh? Yeah, you didn't say nothing wrong yet. So don't look for new words. You never said nothing wrong. I want you to say it better. I want you to say it better. You're not saying nothing wrong. Say it better. What are you studying?
Life.
Thank you. So what does biology mean? Biology means that we're studying what?
The life of...
Stop. Don't do that. What are we studying?
Where's life?
What does biology mean we're studying? Just say it.
Life.
So what does biology mean we're studying?
Life.
So what does biology mean? Biology means that we are use the same words to build a sentence. Come on. Stop making it difficult. Say the same words that we're using. Use the words that we're using. Don't use words we're not using.
Life.
Stop looking for words we're not using. Use the words that we're using. Use the words that we're using.
That we keep
Use the words that we're using. If you use a word that I'm not telling you, you're actually losing it. Use the words that we are using. Do not use a word that we're not using.
Okay.
Okay? What is ology? Answer the question. What is ology?
Study.
What is bio?
Life.
Okay. What are we studying when we deal with biology?
Life study.
I asked you for two words. What are we studying when we deal with biology?
Life.
Thank you. So, what does biology mean that we're doing? What does it mean? What does it mean? Just tell us what we're studying. That's how you define it. Tell me in a sentence, what does biology mean? Biology means that we are, tell me the sentence. Tell me what we're doing when we deal with biology.
Okay.
You said it a million times.
Life.
So say it in a sentence what we're studying when we deal with biology.
We are studying the life.
Tell me biology means, and don't make up new words. Biology means what? Make the connection. Make the connection. There's no new words. Only say the words we've been using. There's no new words.
Life study.
I ain't said, why are you reading it that way? Life study. It goes the other way. What are we studying? Do you talk like that? Life study or study life?
Study life.
So what are we studying when we deal with biology?
Study life.
I didn't actually use the word study. Follow instructions. What are we studying when we deal with biology?
Life.
Thank you. So tell me that in a sentence. When we're dealing with biology, tell me in a sentence what we're doing.
Study life.
Why you don't want to say when we're studying biology? When we're dealing with biology, tell me the sentence. Use the word biology. When we're dealing with biology,
when we're dealing with biology,
we are, what we doing?
We are studying life.
There you go. You made it impossible. I don't know. You're looking for tricks. I'm never going to trick you. I'm never going to trick you.
Never?
Never. I'm never going to trick you. Handle the pressure. I know cameras is all over you. I know the lights is on you. I know you got a little audience. But it's all right. It's all right. You are okay.
Everything's going to be
But guess what? Daddy ain't going to always be here, so you're going to have to take pressure.
Everybody's saying, yeah. They're saying, everybody there with you.
Yo, it's all right. That's what I'm telling you. No matter how beautiful you read, there's another part of reading that you got to take care of, and this is the other part. I'm gonna tell you this: for 11-year-old, you read 4 and 5 syllable words ridiculously. Your ability to spell, I think, might even be better than me, honestly, because I didn't put as much as effort into spelling.
Really?
I think you got me, or you almost got me. I know more words than you now.
I'll be better than Daddy.
You already are. You already are. You already are. You're addition to me. You have no choice but to be better than me. I'd be extremely disappointed if you came up short of who I am. You're supposed to be way better than me. You're already built to be better than me. You're a better copy than I am. Okay? I'm just getting you jump started. You are a better. You're a better version than I ever was at 11 years old. I wasn't even taught to say the things you was talking about in the linguistic tradition of, I didn't know none of that, and nobody pushed me to do that. Okay? Daddy got smart around 19. You got a head start on it. All right? So don't worry about it. The only reason I'm not telling you what to say is because I need you to get into the practice of figuring this thing out when I'm not around you. All right? I need you to figure this out when I'm not around you. Very important. Okay? Very important stuff. All right? So, I'm afraid to ask you, what are we doing when we do biology? But Daddy can't help himself. What are we doing when we do biology? Give me. We're dealing with what? What are we doing when we study biology?
We are studying biology.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. We are studying.
So far, so good.
We are
One more
studying
word.
life.
There you go.
Sorry.
Woo!
Need some water?
Please, I do. Please don't do that. I can't do another 5 minutes. I need a break. You see, Daddy need a break. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to breathe. I need a break. Oh my goodness. If you would have done that to me again. But you see, it's very important. The smartest of children. Because they're children, you got to appreciate the fact that they will be in slight error. Even the most brilliant children. And I always tell her, when we're on camera, sometimes you're going to have those instances in time where you're looking to force a connection in real time because you're on camera. Because she's always telling me, I don't want to make no mistake. Tell me what we're about to talk about. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Make it natural because people need to see this experience because I'm doing this on purpose so other parents stop whipping their children when they make an error. Okay? Now, I'm a man, so pardon me. My voice is going to get a little louder, but I'm always going to reassure her. You're not in trouble. I'm always going to reassure her. If you need a time to break or to calm down, you're good because this ain't the school system. I'm going to give you some time, even if it takes you 3-5 minutes. Go get your time. This is why I'm homeschooling you, because no one's going to deal with my daughter the way she should be dealt with. Because they're dealing with a 45-minute constraint, so they can't wait for an individual child to collect their thoughts. They can't even do that for a whole class. The class will start making fun of them. Meanwhile, she's the smartest person in the room. But they'll make fun of her just because other children are like, oh, and that'd be the only thing. But she spells words bigger than of all day, every day, and she used words way bigger than that all day, every day, but she just had a little technicality. You know why? Because she's still a child. So she's going to make errors sometimes. And it wasn't even an error. It was just a disconnect because she's busy doing her best to figure out what is it that he's looking for, as opposed to just say, let me be free in spirit and convey this message. She's busy looking to please me. That's what a lot of that is. And she's getting lost in the sauce. But nonetheless, you did a great job. You see, but this is what the prefix suffixes. And to her credit, we really didn't officially go through our prefix suffix class to let her know, like every time we see certain things. I teach her stuff on the side. What's this? What does this mean? This suffix.
Sugar.
There you go. There you go. That's good. I just was double checking. But what's this word right here? What's this word?
So that's supposed to be an E?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Come on, don't play daddy. You know that's an E.
You see that?
No, don't play yourself. Read it. Don't guess. That's not right. Don't guess. If I need to write as clear as possible, I will. But do not guess. That's not fair. It's not fair to yourself. Don't ever do that. There ain't no reason to guess, and it's right in front of your face. What's this word?
Etymology.
You know that word? Go ahead.
Etymology.
There you go. And you pronounce the T as what?
D.
There you go. Because of the diction, right?
Dictionary.
Yeah, because of the diction. Correct? Diction is how you say a thing or the way in which you use X amount of words. Okay? What's this word? Say it loud.
Etymology.
Okay. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Etymology, but you never said etymology. You normally say etymology.
Etymology.
Okay. And the T is pronounced as a D.
Yes.
Okay, very good. See? No need to guess. Ain't no need to guess. Okay? No need to guess. Etymology. Very important. All right? What's this word? Just deviating. Please pardon us. We're going to get to the hard thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hold on. That's why I said she spells better than me. I don't have a resource. Oh, it's a dictionary. Hold on. That's why I said she spells better than me. Hold on.
Password.
Oh, yeah. I need a password. You're right. She got a password. This is her laptop. And she earned this laptop because she does exceptional on her schoolwork. So I had no choice but to get her this $1,000 plus laptop. But my daughter wants a specific laptop. She wants an Apple in order for her to do her video editing. Thank you so much.
He needs it.
She making me work.
I know. I watched.
You
But
watch
you got it. Come on, man. You got it. Study your life, baby.
She is making me work. Vicky said, yo, he's dehydrated out there. Okay. You did great, though. I love you. Okay, tricky thing about this. Okay. Then,
Do I know the word?
it don't matter if you know the word. I already taught you what it means to read. Okay? Read that. What's that word? Say it loud.
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. All right, what you do with it?
Synesthesia.
There you go. Millie rocks with synesthesia. It's still a new word. What's this word?
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. Etymology and synesthesia are new words. She got to master them before we really have lessons on them. Okay, so I had to do that because every now and then I just got to double check. What does bio mean? Bio. What does bio mean?
Life.
Ology.
Study.
Okay. Prefix and suffix, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. We out of here. We getting the heck out of this as soon as possible. All right? We getting the heck out of here. See? You got people in their houses coming in giving me all sorts of gifts. They know Daddy worked hard. Daddy worked hard. But guess what? When you get my age, you're going to look back and you're going to have to bless your children with the same energy I blessed you with. You know that? I put in work. So you got to put in more work than I did. We got to keep making the next generation better. We do high science, but I don't want you to leave out the little things that count. This is what you call the nuances. Another word you got to take down. Say it with me. Nuance.
Nuance.
That's the little things that count. Just put it like that. I'll explain to you why we call it the little things that count. We'll get a dictionary meaning, but Daddy, trust me on this one, it's the little things that count. It's the things that people overlook in anything. Anything that's overlooked constantly, the little detail that means everything, but it's just commonly not taken serious or it's taken for granted. It's called the nuance. Okay? So what we're just dealing with is some of the nuances to language. Prefixes and suffixes mean everything to your ability to read and pick up what a word means without picking up a dictionary. And a lot of times they come coupled with each other. But and etymology means everything to us too. It's another nuance of language. All right? So what's this word?
Nuance.
Take a good look at it. I'll write it again later. You got to say it, okay? You erase it. It's in your mind, so you never forget. So don't worry about it if you won't forget it. There's no way you're going to forget. It's in your mind, okay? All you got to do is dig. Dig deep enough. Sometimes you ain't got to dig that much. Just trust yourself, okay? You're doing exceptional, okay? Forever. You're doing exceptional. Isn't she doing great, y'all? Is she doing great?
saying beautiful relationship.
Okay. Okay. Let's get it in. Just wanted to take a good look at what we talking about. All right. I thank y'all for your support. I'm gonna make sure she reads your comments. Tell the family out there, thank you. You got a lot of people looking. And make sure y'all have your children tune in when we do these. Make sure your children tune in, okay? Make sure your children tune in. Very important. Would you like something to drink? No, you're not looking at my apple juice. I earned this. You better get your own apple juice. Look at her.
Sharon's caring.
Yeah, Sharon's caring. Hey, you ain't care about me when we was doing biology. Sharon's caring.
Yeah.
Oh boy, the little energy I just got back from my juice. Now I'm gonna have to drink some of your juice to rehydrate.
You're gonna have to?
Go ahead. My goodness, man. She don't let me get a day off. And she's muscular, man. She can open this juice herself. Man, stop doing these nighttime classes. You're gonna put me to sleep after this. You're doing a great job. One more, take as much as you need. Okay?
Okay, you need it.
Yeah, in the classroom, they don't want you to pull out a little snack or get a little drink. Come on, sometimes you learning so much information, you know, that could put you asleep. Sometimes you need a little hit or something, a little shot. Of apple juice. So we drink this apple juice out of shot glasses. You want to pretend to be adult now, it's just a joke. Knock it off. But for real, children should be allowed to get a little snack, you know? They should be allowed to get a little snack in the middle, especially if you go through an experience of learning. You gotta lighten things up. Okay, let's go to the next subject. Take your time. So be patient with us, family, because this is also for aspiring parents and parents in the present. Just showing you one person's approach towards teaching their child. There's multiple, but the main thing is it has to remain fun. And yes, as a father, my bass and my voice is going to get a little deep sometimes. I had to really talk to my baby girl. I'm not doing this to intimidate you. And I calmed down a lot, because when I first started, I was a lot more frustrated. But I studied, and I learned that that is not healthy, okay? It's not healthy to deliver that type of negative energy to your child, because learning is supposed to be fun. Learning is supposed to be fun. Always keep that in mind. All right. So we did have this on the board. So this was actually for a different conversation we were having, and we can have this conversation later, because some of the homeschool work is about our ancient history, Kemetic science. I believe it should be in curriculums. For obvious reasons, it's not. So guess what? We got to homeschool. Just like if you brothers and sisters are Hebrew Israelites out there, you got to homeschool your children about your culture. All right? That's fair. The school ain't going to do it. So don't. There's so many people who teach so much to adults and on the street, and they banging on everyone. They're not teaching their children. It makes no sense. They send their children to school, but they're saying they're revolutionaries. It makes no sense. And if you have to send your child to school for babysitting purposes, because that's what it's really good for, babysitting purposes, I get it. But you should be able to be at least on a 5th grade level minimum before you say, I got to get my children to school. And honestly, we should push ourselves to 8th grade level. And really, we should be training ourselves to get to the 12th grade. For 5th, 8th, or 12th. Put the work in. Because they have more respect for you when you teach them than if they have to go to everybody else to learn. Then when you give them advice, they're looking at you like, come on, what you know? You can't take these tests that I take. You don't even know how to help me with my homework. They start losing respect for you. We got to be their teachers again. All right? We have to do that. They have to grow up saying, look, Mommy and Daddy are the ones who taught me how to read. They taught me how to get through society. They're the ones who taught me how to count. They're the ones who taught me how to tell time. And they taught me on a massive level. Okay, press record again. No, be back. How y'all doing? Y'all enjoying the experience? It's daddy-daughter time. This is what we do. This is day-to-day. So long as I'm in the country, so long as she's with me, I'm out in the country with her, it don't matter. So long as my baby's around me, I'm going. And I got an older one. I got to show you how I homeschool my 20-year-old. You'll probably be like, you homeschool your 20-year-old? Learning stops because she's 20? Excuse me? You should see what I talk to my 20-year-old about. Like, yo, dude is talking about homeschooling 20-year-old girl. Yes, I am. We homeschool 3-year-olds turning 4. Homeschool my 11-year-old, and we gonna homeschool 20-year-old. Everybody gotta get that work with that, and then I still gotta teach, and that's why I said I gotta take a little retirement because it's overwhelming. And what I'm gonna do is share what I'm doing with my children, because at least I'm still teaching the masses. So how you feel about the lesson so far? Because we're about to get deep into the heart.
Great. Real great.
That's good. Thanks, y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. I swear it's going to get deep. The session is adult and child sessions. That's how this is. The knowledge is better served for everybody. It's good for everybody. That's what we on. All right? So let me move this over a little. I don't want to feel like I keep trying to keep it temporary. All right. They call this the Dua, or the underworld. This so-called hieroglyph, this is the Medu Neter, right? This is the sacred language. It can be read left and right. Right? This would mean sacred language, or pardon me. Let me not. I'm gonna wind up doing a whole thing. Let me not do that. Okay, let me not even take you there. Forget you ever saw that. Well, don't forget it, leave it there, we talk about it another day. But Dua. So this glyph right here, amongst many things, represents a star, but it also could be pronounced saber, and then the Medu Neter, right? The more archaic way to say neter is necher, right? Which is a whole different letter itself, right? Right? So it's actually necher, but we normally leave the vowels out of Proto-Semitic languages and languages that pre-existed.
This is mine.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't want to.
No, it's not a problem. Thank you. So this is necher, right? And this is saber, which means star. Must sound like teacher, right? And then this is T, right? And so this could give you saber or dua, right? So this could sound like saber, or it could sound like dua. And then this would be a T. And then this is a representation of an abode, right? If it's a physical abode, you put a line under it, and then that can represent a house. Just like when they talk about, and it's not the word God, but Ray is represented as God to people in contemporary times, right? But Ray, who people acknowledge as God over all the gods in ancient Egypt, but not God, is represented as this. If I'm talking about a physical being named Ray or Ra, put a line here. So anytime there's a line in the hieroglyphs, that means that you're talking about that thing in a physical sense. This is the sun, right? Ra. But if I move this line, then I'm no longer talking about the actual sun or the being. If I move this line, the abode can be celestial or incorporeal, but not tangible. So whenever you see a line under a hieroglyph, that means you're talking about the actual thing. When the line is not under it, it means you're not talking about the physical thing. This is important because sometimes when people talk about, oh man, they talk about, no, they actually talk about the sun. People be making it all metaphysical and spiritual, and yo, you know, this is what it means when they say that Ra. No, stop that. If we go into the translation, we see this line here. This line means you're talking about the actual sun. This line here means you're talking about an actual house or some kind of temple or abode. All right? These are things to know when you study the Medu Neter because it's a different type of language. So in that language, you also have what's called determinatives. What's a determinative? Determinative is, how am I going to figure out what's actually going on in this world? So This is a determinative. This is telling you, when you read, I want you to think abode. I want you to think something that in-houses something. So instead of them having periods at the end of a sentence, they have images at the end of words. So it's like a period after every word. I know that sounds weird. And what it's doing is giving you the imagery for what they're talking about. Think about that. So you'll find in the meta nature, most times you see something that looks like this, like a mountain. You're talking about people that died, or you're talking about foreigners. Why? Because foreigners come from one side that you don't see where they're coming from. So most words that allude to foreigners has a mountain image in there as a determinative, or ancestors. Why? Because your ancestors in ancient Egypt can be alive or dead. Not like in English, your ancestor would have had to die. In ancient Egypt, your ancestor is anyone that is close to going on the other side or has gone to the other side. Make sense? So a person that's real old is damn near in communication with the other side. So we have ancestors that are living and past. So that changes the translation. You know why? Because sometimes people think we're talking about dead people in our scriptures. And we're not talking about dead people. We could be talking about our elders. And the reason why they have mountains in the image is because people are on the other side of existence. So they provide a mountain to give you imagery. So that's called the determinative. And then what you have is phonetic complements. So there's 3-part letters, like nature. And then there's 2-part letters, or there's biliteral roots and triliteral roots. So this word right here is ped. Ped, they say, right? Or we just go ped. So this can be PR, ped, PR, this represents PR, ped. And because it ends with an R, we put the letter R after it as well. So you know that this is just not an image. You understand that since this also makes a PR sound, we're going to put a phonetic complement here. So in other words, if a 3-part, if we had a B, K, N, then we would put the letter N at the end of this word. A letter can encompass 3 letters in one, and then we'll put the last letter at the end so you know you're not making a mistake. I know this is weird for people who just speak, especially one language. And people speak multiple because it's not quite like this language. But understand that this symbol means PR, and then because it ends with a R, we have to put the R at the end. Okay? Keep that in mind. Don't worry about it. Talk about it another time. But because this letter is made up of 2 letters, P and R, it also has to have an R at the end of it to complement the last R. Because if you know some of these images are determinatives, just there to give you an idea of what you're talking about, we need to be able to make sure when we're just using it for an image and when we're using it for linguistic purposes. Phonetic purposes, I should say. So you have phonetic complements, you have determinatives, and then you just have letters in general. You have letters that make up 3 sounds and letters that make up 2 sounds. Like nature is a letter, this represents 3 letters. But guess what? Then we will have to put the T and the R along with this if we wanted to do it. It's just that this is a divine letter, so you don't have to really do that. But if we can be technical, and then we will have to put the T and the R in hieroglyphic because it represents a TR, NTR. So I'll put 2 letters here. I'll put the letter that makes up NTR, and then I will put the T and then the R after it to follow it as phonetic complements. And we'll probably write them smaller under the glyphs. So some people be thinking they gotta read everything, and some of those letters are just there to tell you the letters that the letter is made up of. You know what I'm saying? It's not something to read per se. So this would be written at the bottom of it. Pan, that, and Peru. Now, this means the underworld, as some say. or even afterlife for some. Dua. This is the abode. This is dua, and this is a T. This is dua, and this is T. So this is duat. And then this symbol here is just to let you know, what is a duat? It's an abode. It's a place in particular. So this is what happens when you go to the afterlife. You go to duat. Hence the reason there's a book called the duat, or Amduat. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now we're going to get this out of here. This is a whole different conversation. And the way this language works is based on the primeval apperception of man, which means it's based on man's awareness of their surroundings. So everything that existed around them was incorporated into the context of their conversation. And therefore, the language has ideographic and pictographic representations. Just look the words up. I really want to get to the heart. This always happens. I did my best, right? But this was on the board. So I didn't want to erase it because some people naturally would say, why is that stuff on the board? But this is good for children. You know why? Because children, first of all, like to draw. Okay? And it's great to have them thinking while they're drawing. And believe it or not, this language makes you ingenious. If you learn to read this language, you see the world differently because, again, there's determinatives, there's phonetic complements, and then there's just the word itself. And the word itself is comprised of concepts that, oh, if the person died, they're on the other side. So that's why we put mountains inside of the word. Or a person is old enough, they're almost on the other side. So we're going to put a mountain on any word that is about anyone that's older than us. See, these ideas are dope. Or the word that they use for mistranslated as God, which is nature, is made up of a flagpole. Why? Because when we're talking about nature, we're talking about principalities. When we're talking about principalities, we're talking about that which you can't see that has an impact on the physical world. Right? That's what we tend to render as God anyway. That's why people interpret it as God. Right? But we're talking about different types of principalities that have an effect on the physical world that goes unseen. So a flag moves around, right? Can you see what's making the flag move?
Yes.
You can?
The wind.
You can see the wind?
No.
There you go. Good correction. So, we can't see the wind, but we know it exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not lying. We know wind exists. We know air exists, right?
Yes.
But can you see it?
No.
So, something in the physical world is being impacted by something we cannot see. But there's proof that it exists. That's called nature. So they represent our ancestors or principalities that our ancestors represent, or attributes that's consistent with reality as this image, cloth on a pole. Because there's something responsible for affecting the physical world that we can't see. But we do know factually that it exists. And that's why Shu is the deity of aerodynamics, because we can't see the air. And nuts is moisture. And you may not be able to see moisture all the time, because we may not have the glass around to see the moisture or the grass around, but we know it exists anyway, and it's participating to our existence, or in our existence. We know Nut is the sky. We know Geb is the earth. And there's attributes and components of the earth that we don't bear witness to in the form of elements, but nonetheless we know it exists, and it's consistent with our reality, because whatever the earth is made up of, we're made up of. So that's why they use this as an example. So just think about a language that makes you think like it. When you see the letter T, you don't go, oh, you know what the letter T means to me aesthetically. We don't do that. It's the letter T. You feel what I'm saying? Letter T is a letter T. There's nothing dope or meaningful about the letter T. Okay? But when we see this is actually a letter made up of 3 letters, nature. Okay? And then they got honorific transpositions, which means if it's a letter that's divine, then it may not come in the right order of a word. Traditionally, like we like to order things a certain way when we write, but we always put the most divine letter first, but it doesn't mean that you have to read it first. You have to just know these are one of the divine letters. So you might have to bypass the letter. That's a whole nother language class. We'll deal with that. I just wanted to tell you about it. So that's honorific transposition. Nonetheless, think about a language that makes you think like that. And it's not hard. It's just hard to think now. Think about it. The language is telling you a lot of meaningful things. Every letter that makes up the language has such purpose and concept that these people were observing everything. That means your language is making you a scientist. This language makes you into a scientist. So I want my daughter to be super observant of everything so she can reference this language as she learns it and says, you know what? I can see why they would say that. Or you know what? I wonder why they would say something like that. And get into their apperception. Another key word that's part of our vocabulary. Apperception. In the New Covenant community, I'm known as head of the crown, supreme grand apperception. That's my attribute. Apperception, very important. Because this is all about apperception. The primal apperception of ancient man. When they use their surroundings in their interpretation of life. Straight right brain, real right brain stuff. Okay? Let's go forward. Getting deep.
Definitely
It's
is.
about to get crazy. Yo, you gotta learn this language. It is the it's the funnest, most fun language I ever learned in my life. Because I'm not approaching it from a, damn, I gotta remember this language. It's not really even a language when you get into it. It's just called a language. But it's a transmission more than it is anything else. It's a metaphysical transmission. And by metaphysics, we mean anything that goes past classical physics or beyond classical physics. Because that's what the word metaphysics means. Any subject matter after classical physics. And by physics, we mean the nature of that which is responsible for matter, or the nature of matter as it relates to the nature of matter and the energy thereof. Okay? Had to get it together. So when we talk about physics, we're talking about matter and the energy thereof. Or the nature of matter and the energy thereof. Okay? This is powerful language.
Remind me of a picture book.
Yo, it's real. It's real. But I mean, this language makes you think, and it's fun to think. And when you start getting into, oh man, you actually like to start the same way when you learn English and you read words you never saw before. You be feeling yourself because I know how to pronounce it the first time I saw it. Whoa, I was right. It gets a lot more deeper than that with this. Yo, how did I know that's what they was thinking about? You start being in tune when you look at the glyphs. You start knowing, nah, that's a determinative. That's a phonetic complement. There must be an honorific transposition here. Just think about how you had to teach a child how to read something like that. Wow, and we're not talking about no little 22 letters in the alphabet, 26, 27 letters. We're not doing that. There's tons of glyphs because it's their environment. And you may say, man, I gotta read hundreds and upon hundreds of different glyphs to understand this language, but it's not a language. It's apperception. Everything that was in their environment was accredited to their perspective of life. So how could you just be limited to just only 22 things? We're talking about life here. This was life around them. The Nile River. Okay, the hawk. Okay, the alligator. So this means they had awareness. Okay, alligators represented fertility. So at the first hospital in Kemet, okay, at the Temple of Polight, which I went to directly, it was attributed to alligators because they're extremely fertile. And to what? To the falcon, because their eyes, they can see so far away. So the eye doctor and the birthing house was at the Temple of Polight. So they knew about their environment to accredit the hospital to those attributes of those animals. Okay? Very dope stuff. So to learn this language is to learn about everything you can on planet Earth, or be in a mindset of a people that were in a scientific state of mind as far as observation is concerned. And then what happens is the language